Hello everyone. Back again with film recaps. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the thriller suspense films from 2023, titled Accused. Before we get to the storyline, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and great day. Without further ado, let's get straight to the storyline. The protagonist of the movie is Harry Bhavsar, a young and carefree man of Indian descent. He appears to be very active on social media, as he regularly tweets and uploads photos on Instagram. Currently, he is living with his girlfriend, Chloe, in a small apartment in London. Although he loves her a lot, he hasn't talked about her with his parents yet. However, he promises her that he will do it soon. Right now, he is packing his belongings to visit his parents' home in the countryside. Harry seems to be very excited to meet them after a long time, and then bids goodbye to his girlfriend Chloe and leaves. In the next scene, he arrives at the local metro station, which is bustling with people. Some girls are making a TikTok video, and Harry accidentally comes into the frame, but he doesn't react and simply proceeds on his way. As he gets on the escalator, he notices a man who looks eerily similar to him, but he quickly snaps out of it and heads to the tunnel. After a while, he gets seated on a bench, next to a racist middle-aged woman. She immediately gets up and leaves, complaining about the state of the country. Harry seems to be used to all this, so he doesn't pay much attention, and when the metro arrives, he gets in. The scene then cuts to 30 minutes later, and Harry is about to reach his destination, and there are a few passengers in the compartment. But out of the blue, all of them receive notifications on their phones, which makes them worried. When Harry checks his phone, he is shocked to the core. Turns out there was a bomb explosion at the Central Junction, the exact station from where he boarded. In no time, panic sets in as the passengers start receiving calls from their loved ones. Reports say that some people have died, but the perpetrator is still at large. Harry also gets a call from his worried girlfriend, but he assures her that he is fine. After a while, he gets off the station, and meets his father, Ramesh, who has come to pick him up. Along the way, the news report states that 7 people have died, while over 50 are injured. Ramesh, who appears to be a funny guy, jokes about how his son could have been number 8 if he had stopped for a coffee. As they are about to reach home, an old and cranky neighbor named Mrs. Daly waves at them. Following this, they arrive home, and Harry embraces his mom, Aisha, tightly, and just like any other mother, she was very worried about him. Ramesh then shows his son a new security system that he has installed. Apparently, it can be used from a mobile phone, but he hasn't connected it yet. It turns out the parents are going out on a holiday trip, so Harry will have to look after their beloved dog, Flynn. Since Harry is going to stay alone for the next few days, he decides to look into the new security system later. He goes outside to play with their lovely dog Flynn, and the two appear to be very close to each other. Harry also climbs up their old treehouse, a place which is very dear to him. From there, he sees his parents hugging each other, which brings a smile on his face. But as Harry prepares to get down, he gets a splinter on his thumb. During dinner, Aisha requests her husband to bring that old treehouse down, saying it is dangerous, but he assures her that it is safe. While watching the London bombing news, Ramesh claims that the airport security will check him thoroughly, because he matches the description of a terrorist. The family is laughing and having a good time when Harry gets a text from his girlfriend. When the parents ask who he's talking to, he says it's Chloe, without specifying their relationship. Mom curiously asks if she is his girlfriend or just friends with benefits, and Dad begins laughing, while Harry is left in an awkward situation. Early the next morning, the parents get into a taxi, and leave for the airport. Now, Harry is left alone, with only Flynn as his companion. That night, after feeding the pup, he connects his phone to the security device. This allows him access to all the cameras in and around the house. Following this, he calls his girlfriend, and tells her that he will be alone for a week. He wants her to come over tomorrow, and she excitedly agrees. As the two continue talking, Chloe suddenly urges Harry to turn on the television. He asks what it is, but she wants him to see it for himself. When Harry switches to the news channel, he sees the bombing suspect's photo. The guy looks exactly like him, and even their outfits are matching. This unsettles Harry, and he anxiously claims that's not him, asking Chloe to stop comparing him to the suspect. After this, they end their conversation, and decide to meet tomorrow. Harry then logs onto his Twitter account, and enters the keywords London bombings for updates. Hundreds of tweets are flooding, most of which are blaming the immigrants. We can see people all over the city expressing what they feel after the bombing tragedy on social media. Then, something very shocking and unfortunate happens. When a woman named Alexandra comes across the suspect's picture, she mistakes him for her school friend, Harry. Although she isn't totally sure about it, she decides to post about Harry online, without even trying to find out the truth. After people on the Twitter keep pushing her, Alexandra finally decides to put Harry's picture online. Lo and behold, the picture blows up the internet, and thousands of people become certain that he is the terrorist. They dig up Harry's pictures from his social media profiles, and start posting it on Twitter. As all of this is unfolding, Harry is busy watching a horror movie on television, and the laptop is right next to him. When our guy finally realizes what's going on, he goes into a state of panic. He witnesses everyone on Twitter attacking him. Meanwhile, some netizens tweet that they shouldn't be accusing a random guy without proper evidence. But their opinions are like a drop in the ocean of angry tweets from people who want to execute Harry by themselves. To make matters worse, Harry notices that the number of notifications and friend requests has gone up quickly. He quickly locks his social media accounts, which have started getting a lot of hate messages. As he scrolls through the tweets, he spots something disheartening. The two TikTok girls from earlier have posted his video online, and the netizens are now certain that he is the culprit. This is because Harry and the suspect were coincidentally wearing the exact same cap, jacket and backpack. Within minutes, his name has spread like wildfire across the web. Overwhelmed by the hate messages from the Twitter, Harry shuts down the laptop. He then calls emergency service, and tells them that he has been getting false accusations and death threats from people on the internet. However, because of his nervousness, he fails to explain the entire predicament nicely, but he still mentions that people think he's the bomber. The operator says this is quite common, assuming that the situation is not serious, and they'll be in touch in the next few days. Following this, Harry tries calling several of his close friends for help, but none of them are reachable. It is apparent that they want nothing to do with him anymore. He also calls the only person who he can trust right now, Chloe. She does answer his call after a lot of calls, but hesitates to talk to him. Turns out the netizens have found out about her affiliation with Harry, so they're sharing her photos all over social media. Harry begs with her to come over and support him, but she says that she can't. She then hangs up the call, leaving him on his own. Later on, when his dog begs to go outside, Harry lets him. But he is concerned when his dog starts barking at something outside, so he quickly brings him inside. In the meantime, people start planning different ways to execute him. They believe that they can catch him faster than the cops and bring him to justice. The netizens start digging up his personal life to find any clues about his whereabouts. Using Chloe's details, they track his apartment's address in London. Even worse, they also learn about his parents' profession, and eventually track the family residence in the countryside. This is the same place where Harry is living right now. As the clock passes midnight, Harry struggles to sleep because of the ongoing situation. He goes to the living room, and checks his laptop. All he can see is death threats and hate messages. Unfortunately, even some of the news channels on TV start displaying his picture as the suspect. They are doing all this without any proper investigation or research. Just then, a landline rings in the house. When Harry picks it up, the guy on the other end says that Mr. Ramesh's blood test has come out. This confuses Harry as the time is 2 a.m. right now, and he wonders what clinic would call at this time. In response, the man says this.
Is that you, Harry?
He also vows to find him and burn him alive, and a terrified Harry throws away the landline. He then goes around the house, disabling all the other landlines. After a while, when he checks his laptop, he discovers that his apartment in London has been vandalized. They are calling it the terrorist lair now. Realizing that it is only a matter of time before they find him here, Harry calls the emergency services once again. However, even this time, he can't explain the situation clearly. All he says is that people are trying to kill him. In response, the operator says they are very busy at the moment, but promises to send help as fast as possible. Moments later, Flynn starts barking. This alerts Harry, and he slowly proceeds to the security monitor to check the cameras. To his horror, an assailant has infiltrated the house. He sprays the lens of the security camera, rendering it useless, and then wanders around outside. Harry crouches on the floor, as he watches the unknown guy slowly advancing towards the main door. He tries his best to keep Flynn silent, but the loyal dog starts barking as soon as it spots the intruder. In a desperate attempt to save themselves, Harry takes Flynn with him upstairs. But unfortunately, the pup escapes, and goes to confront the intruder. For the first few seconds, the dog's barks can be heard, but then, there is complete silence. When Harry slowly descends the stairs, he is met with a horrifying sight. His beloved Flynn has been killed brutally. But he doesn't even get the chance to mourn, as the assailant has already entered the house. Calculating his foot movements and shadows, Harry frequently changes his positions to hide himself. The darkness in the house also works in his favor. However, with every passing second, his chances of getting out alive are becoming slimmer. At one point, when Harry is cornered in a room, he hides behind a couch, and comes up with a risky plan. With the help of his phone, he turns on a Bluetooth speaker, which starts blasting loud music. Harry takes advantage of this distraction and runs to the front door, only to find another assailant there. Turns out 2 men have infiltrated the house to kill him. Left with no options, Harry rushes back inside and heads upstairs. He then uses the security app on his phone to track the assailants. As they move closer, they almost manage to catch him. But he once again evades them by hiding in a secret compartment above the floor. Once they are out of camera range, Harry believes that it is safe to run. But just as he exits the room,
He's here! He's here!
he finds one of them waiting for him. Terrified and with nowhere to go, he gets out of the window, and onto the roof. The killers quickly corner him, and one of them proceeds to catch him. But right then, Harry slips, and falls from the roof. He fortunately lands in the swimming pool, which cushions the impact. Without wasting any time, he makes a run for it through the isolated forest. After a while, he arrives at Mrs. Daly's residence, and desperately bangs on her door. The old lady is expectedly confused by his sudden arrival, but she lets him in anyway. She then gives him a towel to dry up, and asks what's the matter. Harry fails to explain the entire situation. They are accusing him of something he didn't do. He mentions that some men are after him, and they have already killed his dog. In response, Mrs. Daly promises to help him, but at first, she wants to prepare tea for him to raise his body temperature. In the next scene, as she is preparing tea in the kitchen, she hears on the news that Harry Bovsar is the main suspect behind the metro bombings. This shocks her, and she finally understands why the people are trying to kill him. But instead of trying to understand the entire situation, she too decides to be a vigilante. She laces the tea with some foreign chemicals, and gives it to Harry. She then tries to distract him by asking him random questions, but in the nick of time, he puts the tea down and asks to be taken to the police station. Mrs. Daly promises to drive him there herself, but only after he eats some biscuits. Following this, she goes to the kitchen, and begins flashing the lights to make it look like she's having an emergency. Unfortunately, the 2 assailants notice this from a distance and make their way towards her house. Mrs. Daly once again confronts Harry, but this time, she starts asking him some hard-hitting questions. When he hesitates to answer, she abruptly reveals that she heard his name on the radio. Harry tries to explain his innocence, but before that, she brings out a knife, and points it at him. She then directs him to another room, possibly to restrain him. Suddenly, one of the assailants barges into the house and begins attacking Harry. He beats him up and throws him around the room, also hurling several ethnic slurs towards him. After destroying the entire room, the assailant grabs Harry and begins choking him. But before he can finish him off, our hero grabs a shard of broken glass and stabs his neck. He then picks up a hammer and beats the assailant until he passes away. After Harry runs away, the second assailant arrives and notices his friend's corpse on the ground. This shatters him, and his hate for the alleged terrorist grows even more. Meanwhile, Harry returns to his parents' home, bruised and battered. After retrieving the keys, he gets inside the car and starts it. But just when he is about to leave, the second assailant arrives and pulls him out. He begins assaulting poor Harry with a baseball bat. Moreover, the man even records a video of him to post it on the internet. After this, he goes to retrieve an axe, to finish the job once and for all. Harry tries to run, but he is too weak to get away. As a last resort, he climbs up his old treehouse, and curls up in the corner. The assailant soon arrives, climbs up the treehouse, and approaches him slowly. He is about to finish him off when suddenly, the floor beneath him breaks, and he falls to the ground. When Harry gets down to check, he sees that the assailant has been impaled by a sharp object right through the stomach. He is bleeding profusely, and is on the verge of death. The assailant pleads with Harry to help him, but our hero couldn't care less. He simply turns around and walks away, leaving the man to die. The movie then cuts to the next morning, and the news indicates that the real perpetrator behind the metro bombings has been apprehended. He is actually a 28-year-old native Londoner named Paul Locke. It is revealed that he is the same man that Harry saw at the start of the movie. With the release of this news, the netizens who once blamed Harry without any proof, feel guilty, and start removing their tweets one by one. Alexandra, who started the trouble, has made her account private, while Harry's video of being beaten up goes viral. In the final scene, an interviewer asks Harry how he feels now that his name has been cleared. However, he is still unable to come up with a proper response. Okay guys, that's all the recap of Accused 2023. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video.